Hey everyone, how are you? I'm excited to be kicking off this 2019 with a brand new show sponsor. Very excited to welcome Joseph Meyer Club to the show. If you haven't heard about Joseph Meyer Club, head on over to josephmeyerclub.com right now and check it out. They have a great product, this aftershave that I've been using. And it's really comes in a nice container, and it's got this foaming tip on it, just a little bit in your hand, and it's nice and clean. You know, if you ever used the liquid ones before, you can kind of make a mess, but this is real clean and really easy to use, and smells awesome too. That's a really nice thing about it. So, let alone is it moisturizing and alcohol based, so it helps heal up your skin if you happen to have any nicks and stuff, but smells great too. And right now, to let you try it, they're going to let you get 20% off for all my Rock Paper Podcast listeners. So at checkout, mention RPPJMC20 for 20% off. Again, RPPJMC20 at josephmeyerclub.com. And there's always free shipping, so keep that in mind. And tell them Shane sent you. Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast. Let me tell you about my friends at Naked Vine, located at 1624 Clarkson Road in Chesterfield, Missouri, serving up all kinds of your favorite wine, whiskey, tequila, and local craft beers. Stop by and visit them for some great live music this week. Tuesday, January 8th, singer-songwriter storytelling showcase featuring Cree writer Cara Louise and Drew Schaefer. So excited about this show, guys. Don't miss it. 7 o'clock, $5 at the door. So come on out and join us Tuesday night. Thursday, January 10th, Phil and Carson of the Scandaleros. Friday, January 11th, Diesel Island. And Saturday, January 12th, the Scandaleros. So a lot of fun shows coming up. Don't miss out. Check the full calendar at nakedvine.net. And be sure to follow along with them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the show.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
This is Jenny Roques, and you are listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast, y'all.
It's been a couple years and far too many beers for me to recollect those times. But one thing I know is people come and go, and I might pack up and head back to that life. Once in a blue moon, I'll make it back to you if it lines up with the wind. Don't worry, my friends, about the troubles I'm in. To be free, you must beckon your skin. I'll gather my things and I'll hit the road right, 'cause there's a long way to go in burning moonlight. You say running from the law, no it ain't right, but it's all I got tonight. It's all I got tonight. forever thank old destiny. Until then, my friends, I'll send my force across the plains. Keep that sage burning to keep it clean. I'll gather my things and I'll hit the road right, 'cause there's a long way to go and burning moonlight. And you say running from the law, no it ain't right. But it's all I got tonight. It's all I got tonight. It's all I got tonight. It's all I got tonight.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri, hanging out today with Jenny Roques.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to be here. I'm very excited to officially meet you. We've and a lot of these have been starting this way, which is still, it's a lot of fun that been doing the show this long and still continuing to meet new people in town and stuff. But yeah, this we've been friendly online for a little bit, but this is our first time really getting to sit and chat, and I wanted to kind of get to know a little bit more about what Jenny's been up to. So
This is exciting.
I guess so I've been taking notice this. I mean, I've known of Tortuga, and I've known of a couple of the things you've been a part of. I think first time I think I saw you sing was just over the summer with Ryan at Whiskey War Festival, and which was a lot of fun. That was a great day, and that was actually my first Whiskey War Festival. So I got to Jake and David Manus have been good friends for quite a while, but that was the first time it was always one of those things, it falls on a weird weekend for me and I couldn't make it out and kind of thing, but I finally got to get out and support those guys. And
Totally. I think this was my second one, but my first time playing at one, but it's getting bigger every year. I've seen it over the last few years grow, and it's such a fun festival.
Sure. Definitely. Yeah, it's kind of become an institution now in St. Louis I think they've been doing it 8 years, and they bring a lot of great national acts in. They're friends from the road and stuff. So I'm excited to see what they got coming up for this year's.
Yeah.
But that was so I think that was one of the first time I actually heard you sing live.
Yeah.
And then recently your name came up with the Sheryl Crow tribute in town.
Yeah.
I had Jess and Annie on the show from I Went to Show, and we were talking about that event, and which looked like an amazing night.
Yeah, it was probably one of the most fun shows I've ever played, to be honest with you. Obviously, I dedicated most of the month of December and some of November to just drilling for Sheryl Crow songs. Sure. But it was, man, the energy that night and all the performances, everything, it was just so much fun. Everybody just had so much fun. That was a great time.
You even get a little shout out from Sheryl herself. I saw on Twitter. That was that was pretty neat to get her attention. And
yeah, for real. And there's a lot of tribute shows that happen around town, and it's not often that you actually see the artist be like, oh, hey, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
This is cool.
Definitely.
So whenever actually, Jess sent an email out with that, I was like, look at this. Everybody was like, oh my God.
Right. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah,
you're right. So I've seen a lot of different tributes, and I don't know anybody that's getting that got a blessing from the artist saying, hey, thanks for, this is cool that. So yeah, that was pretty neat, and maybe next year she'll come to the show or something.
Right? Yeah, we'll have to get her out.
Yeah, but I did think it was funny that when Jess and Annie were on the show, they said anybody from her hometown was invited and on the guest list, and
exactly.
Kennett, Missouri, is that right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad that went well. And those are a bunch of great songs. Was you which ones did you end up doing?
See, I did Hard to Make a Stand, Leaving Las Vegas, Can't Cry Anymore, and Ordinary Morning.
Nice.
So I knew 2 of the songs just from like kind of being a preteen, early teen, whenever they were really big and they were playing on the radio a bunch, and I was like, oh my god, I want to be like her. And then the other 2 I didn't quite know as well, so it was really interesting because this is also the first tribute show where they pick the songs for you.
Okay.
I didn't get to choose them, which was kind of cool because it was like, oh man, what do they want me to do? I'm up for the challenge, you know. And it was really neat to kind of, they were all very different styles of Sheryl, and learning kind of like those 2 songs I wasn't quite as familiar with. Mm-hmm. And then actually learning the correct words to the songs I was familiar with, and not just what I'd made up as a teenager, just trying to sing them on the radio. Yeah. It was really cool, and it was a really like cool learning experience, you know.
That's always a funny thing too. That's what they say there. Like, you know, it's like, yeah. I've been singing it wrong for 20 years now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you do them pretty close to the originals, or did you?
Yeah, surprisingly, everything, you know, the band that happened to come together, that I just happened to be like, well, Desire Lines, they couldn't do the show because of scheduling, but I really wanted to be a part of the show, and so I kind of put together a few friends just to kind of play in the band. It seemed to click just like magic. It was really fun, you know, like we were in the practice space 5 minutes and just kind of jamming on one of the songs already. And sometimes that doesn't happen quite that easy. So it turns out we didn't really have to do anything like different, or, you know, like we didn't have an organ for some of the songs, or we didn't have like maybe some of the details that the full production might have from the album, but they all ended up sounding pretty much similar, you know, nice. to them. That's
also another fun part of some of those shows, where you can kind of take some liberties with it and you know, change it up a little bit and put your own tweaks on some things and make it more your song. But yeah, it's fun too when you can nail it to like pretty much the record.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's really fun too, because you're like I was saying before, I was like, well, I'm up for this challenge. And I went into it, didn't know if I had to kind of switch it up, or if it's just how it was going to pan out. And when it just kind of all worked right into place, you know? Yeah.
Well, hopefully that goes, continues. Maybe make it an annual thing or something. I unfortunately couldn't be there for this one, but a bunch of my friends were there, and I was kind of bummed I missed out. But hopefully we'll do another one sometime.
Yeah, totally, totally.
But like I was saying, when this is our first time getting a chat, I wanted to kind of get to know more about Jenny, and I guess can we start at the beginning? You grew up around the St. Louis area?
Yeah, I grew up around here, in between Pacific, Missouri, and Rosebud, Missouri. My mom lived in Pacific, and my grandparents lived in Rosebud, so about, I was at both places a bunch, and, when I got to be a late teenager, senior in high school, getting ready to come into college, I moved into the city, and just started, trying to do different art stuff, different music stuff from there, as early 20s people do as they're finding their place, and did some playing around St. Louis. One of my first bands I was ever invited to be a part of was called Dub Kitchen, and that was a really big learning experience. And just learning about different music in general, and everything about where music falls into people's lives, and the history of music. Especially somebody coming from kind of middle Missouri, starting to learn more globally about different music types was very eye-opening, and a very, very good educational process for me as a musician. and I just kind of played around town for a little bit, but I wasn't really doing anything on my own at that point. And then I guess, I don't know if it was 2009, I guess it was around then, I moved to Austin, Texas. I went to go visit some friends, and then I stayed for a while, and then I came back and I was like, well, I'm going to move there, as it seems like everybody that moves to Austin does. And that was another huge learning experience musically for me. And that's when I really started playing out live by myself, with my friend Jackie a lot. We started a group called Arson for Candy, which was focused on like classic country stuff.
Right.
And playing in Austin is a lot different than playing in St. Louis. There's support is everywhere, which was really great. And there's a lot of support here in St. Louis, don't get me wrong. But in Austin, music is such a driving point for their economy that you can go out and just book however many gigs a week and pay your bills, because it's there, and St. Louis, we can't go out and just play a happy hour every night and not oversaturate the town,
I do feel, I've never been to Austin, so I can't speak on any of that, but I do feel like St. Louis is kind of getting there, though, like where we're right there coming up to be maybe like one of the next Austin or different Nashville or whatever, where you can do that kind of stuff. Like we have a really thriving music scene. We have so many great players, but we also have a lot of great venues that are supporting local music. And
absolutely.
And between the city and the county and stuff, like you can stretch out a little bit, and you can kind of make the rounds where you're not, like you're saying, you're not oversaturating and stuff. So
right. I
think we're getting there. I think we still got there's still some things but I feel like there's really so much positive going on right now in ours.
Oh yeah, and mind you, this is kind of speaking back and gosh, 8 or 9 years ago,
yeah, exactly,
and moving from St. Louis down to this environment that I was like, whoa, this is different, but at the same time, it might be different, and you might be able to go out and book a gig every night. Mm-hmm. But if you find yourself playing a gig every night like that, then you start, it just becomes like you're doing the motions.
Right.
Here in St. Louis, you may not have a gig every night, but every gig that you have and that you play, you're not just out there to pay your bills. You're out there to put your heart and soul in it for everybody. And I think that's a big difference as well, Mm-hmm. And so it's easy to lose that almost in that environment where you start using it more as a job, And but also seeing that, it was such a huge learning experience because you see both sides of it. Like, okay, you could make a lot of money if you do this every single day of the week. Or you could be in this awesome, supportive community and do this 3 times a month. You know what I mean? And still enjoy it. Right. Instead of, I gotta go play this gig today,
right. Well, I think that's a lot of why I have so many of them, I kind of mentioned off mic, but some of these guys and girls have, they have a cover band, they have a, country band, they have a rock
Mm-hmm.
band, and they do a lot of different things to keep it always fresh.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, the unfortunately, in St. Louis, cover bands do really well and
Mm-hmm.
can get paid really nicely for some of that stuff. But you do the original stuff because that's your heart and that's what you love to do. So so I think like it's nice to keep that balance, to keep it from getting where you're running through the motions and stuff. And
absolutely,
so.
Yeah, and also to touch back on what you said about how St. Louis, it has this it's going to be just as big as Austin is considered, or Nashville. Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that, and I mean I already think that we're there.
Sure.
And there's.
I think we're there, like with talent and everything else, but like as far as getting the attention from national attention, like I mean Austin obviously with the South by Southwest and all that stuff. I mean they get a ton of attention for everything that they do, and but I think, and we're finally I feel like as a whole, like we're really getting a lot of attention, and even stuff like St. Louis Blues have been bringing a lot of original music in there and supporting our St. Louis artists still, like stuff like that, and which is amazing too. Like put them on a bigger scale in front of the whole city, so.
Right. And also it seems like the culture here, especially the music culture, it's so DIY, which I love, and I think that says a lot as well. Everybody here just does it themselves, and I love that. They don't see themselves held back that we may not get the national, recognition or that we deserve, and we just keep on going. We're just like, well, I'm just going to do it myself.
Sure.
And I love that like stubborn tenacity.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm going to just keep on making my art,
Exactly. We're all blue collar. We're all hustle for what we want, and I think that's what sets us apart. Nothing where nobody's expecting a handout. We all work hard for what we want.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. That's sort of that Midwest mentality and stuff. And
Exactly. And to kind of like tie this into when I moved back home, when I moved back from Austin to St. Louis, and that's when I really started kind of playing out on my own here in town. I enjoyed it that much more at that point, because I had been almost in the thick of it and I'd seen it, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And I learned a lot from that. But I'm glad to be back home where we do it all ourselves, and we have this supportive community here, and I guess I was down in Austin for about a year, and then I came back here to St. Louis, and that's kind of really when I started playing out a bunch here.
Nice.
Yeah, to kind of tie that all back in.
So you started back doing solo stuff then, and
I was doing. That's whenever I started playing under the name Cowpuncher Jenny, and then whenever my friend Jackie would come to town, we would play as Arson for Candy, or I would go back to Austin, or we would do a little tour between Austin and St. Louis, and and I just wanted to play as much as I could. So
I think it was Brad Jackson wrote in asking about Cowpuncher Jenny and stuff, and where's that name come from? Is that
So I love history. I'm kind of obsessed with history, especially Old West history, Missouri history. There's a big Missouri-Texas connection, which I really loved to learn about whenever I was living in Texas. I kind of make a joke, like the only books I can actually focus and read are history books, But one thing I really got into was learning about, cattle songs and Old West songs and old cowboy songs. Specifically, I had this one experience where, my grandparents, they had a cattle farm. And I was just hanging out, and I had my guitar, and I was just playing it, just hanging out behind their house one day. And the next thing I know, like, here comes a cow, here comes another cow, and they're all coming up to the fence, like right across from where I'm playing, and they all seem like very interested in hearing it. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. This is crazy. So I got up and I kind of went to the fence and I played for the cows. and I was like, well, this might look silly, but this is really cool.
Yeah.
And, some of them listened for a while, and then at any true concert, then one kind of straggled off, and then a couple went over there, and I probably had 3 or 4 at the end of it,
Standing ovation.
Yeah. But I was like, whoa, that was really cool. So I started kind of researching a little bit, because we've always heard about cowboys on the trail, so we've always heard about like the infamous cattle call song, or all those old country songs and this and that, and I learned after researching it that that the cattle call was an actual thing that they used on the driving trails to keep cows calm and to keep them soothed because they were into the music. If they didn't, I don't think a lot of cowboys had guitars. I think that's kind of like a romanticized vision of them, but they definitely had voices and they definitely could sing back and forth to each other, and that, it helped them in a lot of different ways. If they were lucky enough to have a guitar, then I bet the cows really loved it at that point, So that kind of was the root of what started with Cowpuncher Jenny. I wanted to document a lot of those songs and play them and sing them. So I started off kind of, I threw a few originals in there, but it was mostly classic country, real old cattle songs or very old country, like from the 20s or 30s or so. And that's kind of how that came to be. And it was always just kind of like a solo project thing. But I haven't played under that name in quite some time, probably about 6 or 7 years, I would say, But it was a really great way, especially with somebody who has stage fright. You're like, all right, I'm going to sing these songs by myself.
Yeah.
So, make up a little kind of fake name and it helps.
I don't know, it's, you mentioned having stage fright, like, that's another thing that I don't understand, like, I get it, but like, how many artists, like how many super talented people, and then they still get nervous stepping on that stage. I'm like, why are you nervous? Like,
I know,
but
I don't know how to explain it. You think, oh, I'll get over it, just a couple more years. And then it's 10 years later.
But I guess it's probably also good that you still have that. Like, it's still, imagine if that probably helps keep it fresh too. Again, like you're not going through the motions. Like you still get that anxious and nervous kind of feeling stepping out there because you want to do great and you want to perform. And
yeah, you want to do your best and you want to do your best for the audience.
Right. Yeah. Well, that so we do have. I guess probably good to tie into some more of your solo stuff. Well, let's drop in this one. We did do a little live jam here in the kitchen, which was a whole lot of fun to just you and your guitar.
Yeah.
And this is I guess a unreleased song right now. Is a newer one you're working on?
Yeah. I just wrote it, I guess, a couple weeks ago.
Oh, very
so
nice. Yeah.
I was thinking of what to play for you, and I was like, well, I guess this one wants to be played. So yeah, it's not recorded or anything like that, or it's just kind of there. Till now. Yeah.
This song's called The Fire.
Yes.
And anything you want to add around this soon?
No, I just, it was one of those songs where I woke up at like 5 a.m. and had this melody in my head, and by 6:30 it was probably done, So. Some days nothing feels the same, and you search for what's right. Moving through motions of life, swirling in night. Caught up in the ego game. Do you know what's real? Don't go lying to yourself. Cover for the pain, 'cause you're running through the fire. You're running through the fire.
running through the fire. You're running through. You're running through. You're running through the fire. You're running through. You're running through. You're running through the fire. You're running through. You're running through. You're running through the fire.
Always waited till the end.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that sounded great. Does that happen a lot for you? Like, is that they come and the inspiration just pours out?
Yeah. I would say, for me, especially with like my life and my schedule, the only time I find that I can write songs would be in the morning. I don't know, it's morning time is my songwriting time. I get a cup of coffee and then sit down, and sometimes they come and sometimes they don't, you know, and usually the ones that I can write within a few minutes are good to go.
That's right.
Yeah, and they're all ready for the band, and the other ones that I have to pick at for a few months don't happen.
Sure.
They don't ever make it to the band.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of that kind of stuff, like where, yeah, if it doesn't happen in a couple minutes, it's probably not going to be the one that sticks around. So
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's weird like that. I don't know how to explain it.
Right. Yeah. So we let's get into some of the other stuff. You mentioned Desire Lines, and that's your current band that you've been playing out a lot with. And,
yeah.
This so tell me about this group. I haven't got to see you guys play live yet.
Yeah. Well, it's actually it's going to be, if you've ever listened to the older stuff, or even this acoustic song that I played. It's going to be a lot different than what you're used to, and I'm having so much fun with it. I bought an electric guitar because I felt I'd kind of got stuck in a rut with my general acoustic playing. I wasn't really playing like different rhythms. I was like, well, it feels like I'm just doing the same thing over and over. So I wanted to learn and grow a little bit more, and I played electric bass, electric rock and roll bass for a while, and had just had so much fun with it. And I was like, well, I want to just keep, I want to dive into the electric world a little bit more. And got an electric guitar, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to write on this and see what comes out, And, I mean, you can get it up, you can strum it the same way, but you've got a lot different things that you can do that I was not used to.
Sure. So
I started based my writing around the electric guitar a lot more. So there's a lot more different strumming patterns, it's a different sound, and
rode out the storm, gave it my everything, ended up in the cold, thrown out underway. Not a martyr for your sins. I carry empathy. It's not weak to be kind. It's real simplicity. Soul refuses pain, but they live a life. We light the warning signs. They won't get it in time. Oh, beg for love.
A lot different than before, but it's really fun because it is so different, and I get to hear these ideas that come to life with the band, which is Ryan Adams, Sam Golden, and Matt Pace. And I'm just like, holy moly, I did not even expect this to come out of it, and I love it, you know, and everybody clicks really well together. We're all on the same wavelength, and we all work really well together, and I'm really excited about it. I'm just, because I'm learning so much and just constantly, you know, feel like I'm just practicing and getting better at things that I've always wanted to do, you know, and yeah, we're working on recording a full album, which would actually be my first full album of all original material as well.
All right.
So we've got drums tracked and stuff, but you know, so it'll probably be mid to late next year before it's done. But
is there like when you've had all the stuff as solo stuff and different things? Has any of the stuff like from that stuff made it to Desire Lines? You cross over, or is it all?
Yeah.
Or is it everything?
Well, we did use a couple of the songs. We actually did another version of Cries, which Tortuga does.
Right.
But at that point, I wanted to write all new different stuff. Right. I had a lot of life changes happen, and as everybody does, people grow and people change and people's lives change, and that definitely is translated. If you're an artist, it comes out in your art. Mm-hmm. And some of the stuff may not be as like pretty as before, and a lot of it is if a person has gone through some struggles in their life, a lot of that writing can be therapeutic as well. So I find a lot of these new songs can be rather cathartic to get them out. And I had worked so long, doing covers of old songs, or if I did write, I tried to write from a different person's perspective, my own experience, but it was happening to somebody else, and it made it a little bit easier to write about. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to be as vulnerable, but this one I've changed that, and it's strictly I'm like pouring my heart into it, and I'm writing from my perspective, and I'm not hiding behind a character that I created, and it's been rather cathartic and rather it's helped a lot, and I think that is actually you can see that in the music and the art as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love that. I mean, there's it's not always the case, but like when I hear some music and it feels like, especially when you're that connected to it, when it's your story, mm-hmm. and you put it out there and somebody can listen to it and be like, and you're almost telling their story too, so it's like they can reconnect to it in that different ways and stuff, and that's always been one of my favorite parts about songwriting and then listening to music, is like when I can connect to that story and relate to it on that level where I'm like, it's like, this is, or even if I haven't been through that particular thing, then I can also be like, well, and at least like I believe it because she's telling me this
mm-hmm.
this is the way it is. So
right.
So I love that kind of that side of songwriting and stuff. So
yeah, it's. I remember that whenever there was a few times when I was like, God, this song, it just is speaking to me, and if I didn't have this right now, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd be acting crazy or something. And I think a lot of artists, I don't know, sometimes I struggle with, when you put it all out there and you're vulnerable, it's like, well, what does it matter? What's what I'm saying so important, but then it's like, well, when people connect to it and you can help them in some way, that's what makes it really worth it.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, you do have a couple of chances to come see Desire Lines live. We have January 19th at Foam, and we have February 9th at Foam also again, and February 16th over at Schlafly Tap Room.
Yep, that's
which
it.
I guess you were just there last night.
Yeah, last night. Yeah, that was a fun time. It was a really good show. We played with Keokuk and Moondos, and oh my God, those bands are awesome. Yeah. I would definitely check them out.
Definitely do it, yeah. And you can find Desire Lines on your Facebook page, and you can find more dates coming up and stuff there. So check that out. Get involved.
all know your lies, and they are here, and here are cries. We hold lightning in our hands, and our soul feeds the thunder skies. Though they push us, we won't fall. Sacred water washings off. Can you hear the war cries? Can you hear the voices calling? Can you see the horses on the hill? All the fire lives within. Can you feel the spirits in the sky? Can you feel the ghost in the land? The fascination is moving in, and our creator will not bend. Can you hear the war cries? Can you hear those drums? Can you see the horses on the hill? Our fire lives within. Our fire lives within.
We mentioned War Cries by Tortuga, and you guys, Tortuga released a new record in 2018, and
Yeah.
I saw that article. You were, it was recently named Best Missouri Albums by the Columbia Tribune there. Whatever.
Yeah.
So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was really cool. I didn't know about that until I saw that article. I was
right.
like, oh gosh, yeah.
It's gotta feel good though to get some that recognition, to get your
Yeah.
name in print and all that. And
Yeah, totally. And that, man, I love playing in that band, Tortuga. Oh gosh, like everybody in there is just super great. And you know how we talked about stage fright? That is the one band I do not have stage fright with. I don't know what it is, if it's the energy or what of us all working together, but that is just pure fun when I'm up there and I'm not terrified.
Right.
So
You said a lot of these Ryan sings right or writes.
yeah, Mike Leahy
Or
writes.
Mike, sorry.
Yeah, Mike Leahy writes primarily for Tortuga,
Yeah.
and
And,
we're still a band. We haven't played very much because everybody's schedule is just kind of insane. But we are gonna try to get some shows booked for spring, and I know, pretty sure Mike's trying to get some new songs together and everything, and we want to do some co-writing. So
Sure. But you did write War Cries, which appears on the new record, and
yes, yep.
you can check that out and grab a copy of that. It's all available everywhere digitally, right, and all that.
Yep, that's out there in the world.
But yeah, like I did. Well, I guess you guys did play. It's been a while back, but you played Del Mar Hall with Andrew WK.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, and I had never seen Andrew WK before, and man, that's a heck of a show.
Is he as wild as you would think he is? Like, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he's not like angry wild.
no, yeah, he just
He's like, yeah, like it was like this super positive,
Right.
like music is the answer. Like it just like made me so happy, you know, like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he seems like one of the coolest, but like I imagine the live show is pretty wild and everything. Just some of that stuff. So
Yeah, there's a lot of headbanging
yeah,
by all of the band members, which was super fun.
yeah. I haven't been able to catch a live one, but I would love to see him play sometime and check it out. And
Yeah, super high energy.
Yeah. And again, Tortuga is also, we have a Facebook page there, and hopefully we'll get some announcements coming soon regarding some more live stuff. So, and you can find all things Jenny Roques at jennyroques.com. Yeah. And you have your own personal fan page there on Facebook as well. So, got a lot of things get involved there.
I try to keep up on them, but do my best.
Sure. Yeah, trying to juggle all this stuff. It's a lot to do.
Yep.
So, and being mom and all that. So
definitely.
Is that I guess you said Desire Lines is probably the next recorded material you'd be putting out?
Yeah, that is going to be, once we get that all done, that we're going to shoot for a full album, and that would be actually like my first full album of all original material. So, it's kind of like my other baby right now.
Where are you guys recording it at?
I'm at Native Sound.
Nice.
Yeah.
I haven't been in that studio yet, but they've been really, a lot of my favorite records have been coming out of Native lately. So I'm really like what they're doing over there.
Yeah, it's I really like that space, and going into a studio can always be a little nerve-wracking. So, and I've worked a lot in that space, so it's almost become like a comfortable place. And that just kind of helps the product regardless. Feeling comfortable in your recording space.
Sure. I mean, I think that's the biggest part. Like I was telling you, like that's why I do this show a lot from the road, traveling around to where people are comfortable either at their home or, band practice or whatever it is. They're definitely going to be more comfortable in their own surroundings to open up and talk a little bit than trying to come to some weird place and with some guy they don't know. And you're talking about kind of been during the Cowpuncher Jenny days and stuff, like kind of going back to your grandparents' farm and all. Is that kind of where it started with music? I mean, were you pretty young, or was it in?
Yeah, I would have to say. It probably didn't start. We never had like a family band or anything like that. And honestly, besides like a great uncle, and nobody really plays music in my immediate family, So I remember my mom, when I was fairly young, I would always sing. My mom is kind of obsessed with Elton John. She loves Elton John, so I grew up listening to all the Elton John and singing along with Elton John, which, at the time I was like, oh, whatever. But I look back, I'm like, man, that's a great way to start, listening to music. And I always sang. I was in dance for many years and always felt connected to music. Never really started playing though until I was like in my early 20s.
Okay.
My mom, when I was like 10 or 11, she had a guitar and she tried to show me some chords, but it hurt my hands. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'm not doing that. And then in my early 20s, or probably 19, I wanted to play piano. So I was a huge Tori Amos fan, and I wanted to teach myself piano. So I started teaching myself piano, and I had been in like choir and music theory for years, and at that point, and started playing some songs on there and got comfortable with what it was like to play and sing an instrument. And sometimes it's not the easiest transition if you come from like a classically trained background to just like, okay, make something up, have fun. It's like there's nothing on the sheet music here. So a lot of my early stuff was just actually trying to get over that hump and allowing myself to create, And then after that I picked up a guitar too, and I was like, okay, it doesn't hurt my hand as bad anymore. I'm gonna actually play this. And going back to the farm thing, when I told my grandparents, which my grandma, she's passed away since then, and my grandpa, he doesn't live at the farm anymore, but I remember he gave me some advice when I told him, I was like, I'm moving to Austin. He's like, well, just promise me you won't move to Texas and become a guitar picker. And so what did I do? I moved to Texas and became a rhythm guitar player instead of, I don't pick, you know? And so I always thought that was funny. I was like, oh, well, at least I'm just doing rhythm. And that was kind of, you know, I've always sang, but I tried to teach myself how to play instruments so I had something else to do on stage instead of just like, hey, here I am.
Right. Yeah, something to do with your hands too. Yeah. I always feel like that's the biggest thing is like, especially when I see lead singers that don't, you know, have a guitar, they're like always trying to figure out what I need to be doing while I'm not singing. So
exactly.
Like,
and as being a nervous, awkward, stage fright person anyway, it's just like, let me just hide behind this guitar.
Yeah.
So.
You ever watch that video popped up recently with Elton John? Like it was like I forget.
Where he got the piano?
Yeah.
I did, and I cried. Oh my God, I cried.
Waterworks. I
did. I sent it to my mom.
Yeah. But speaking of him, like that's how I feel. Like it was really like that. I mean, I don't know. Like for as quick of a little commercial it was and everything, but it's such a great example. You know, it really hit me hard because obviously it's gearing up towards the holiday season and all that.
Right.
When it came out there, but back in November I did a Toys for Tots charity show put together and stuff. So like. That was a great example of how one gift can make a difference in somebody's life and stuff, and like
right.
So like it was it was really powerful the way they did that, and
yeah, I get chills now thinking about it. I'm gonna cry now.
But it was fun to see kind of through the timeline of his career too, like just kind of how he evolved as a performer and stuff. I mean, even though like. It was actors playing him, but like how his career continued to evolve over the years, and then how he's still doing it. I guess he just retired from the road recently. So and that was my mom took me to my first concert I ever went to was an Elton John concert. Oh, nice.
Down at Riverport when it was still called Riverport.
That's always Riverport.
Yeah. It is to me too. It will never be anything else.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the I think it was just Riverfront Times thing or something a bit ago was like things that St. Louis calls by the wrong names and everything. That was number one when nobody calls it whatever it is today and stuff. So.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's when the name changes every year or 2 years or whatever, it's like everybody knows it's Riverport. And,
Riverport magic.
Yeah. I think my first show, the first one I can recall, like asking my mom to take me to, and I'm sure I went to stuff with them, as a kid, but it was 1997, Matchbox 20.
Oh yeah.
Semisonic and Soul Asylum played at the arena, so.
Oh yeah.
Which was a good time.
I bet that was a good show.
Yeah. And just the other day, I was. I kind of had a flashback to another show right around that same time. I think maybe the next summer or something like that. It was I saw a band play Sugar Ray's Fly the other night, and it took me right back to sitting in the grass at Riverport. It was like a Z107 summer jam kind of thing.
Totally.
And Sugar Ray played, and they played Fly because that was like the huge hit. And,
right.
And but I remember there was this guy behind me, and we're like 14 or whatever it was, something like that, and he's smoking a joint, and he's got his arms out, and he's like, fly, and he's like, trying to sing the song, trying to sing the song, and I remember laughing hysterically. That was one of the funniest things. And but I'll never forget that. It's like it's been.
That's a moment that's always gonna be there for you.
When I think of Sugar Ray, I think of this guy and his little joint hanging off his lip, and
cannot unsee.
Yeah. So. It was, but it was. I think it definitely had a big impact. Being that I was 14, and it was just like, oh, this is what going to concerts is like. It's like
Exactly.
Flash forward 20 years or whatever, and I'm now I go to concerts and there's still people trying to sing the words with a joint hanging like
flying around.
Yeah,
I know it's so funny. I remember because I was in 6th grade for the Elton John concert, so this was probably like I don't even know, mid-90s.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom trying to like kind of talk to me a little bit like, okay, concerts can get kind of weird, and but I didn't quite understand. And I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. We're gonna just go get weird and dance to some music. But still, trying to like sugarcoat it for a child, and I just didn't get it.
Sure. Yeah. Might be some weird smells going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love your coffee mug, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
For those listening and they can't see, obviously, it's a UFO, and it says "Get in, loser."
Sucking up somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one of my favorite mugs as well.
Yeah.
When it's dirty, I'm like, oh, God dang it. No, it's I love this kind of stuff. I love
Sure.
UFOs and aliens and conspiracies, if you want to call them conspiracies.
Yeah. What's your favorite conspiracy theory
Oh my gosh.
going? I got a buddies that do a podcast you might want to check out. It's called Anything But Credible Podcast.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of their thing, is like they don't really do these theories based on like facts or anything. They go at it as entertainment value.
Exactly.
And they don't try to like prove them or disprove or whatever. They just kind of have fun with it, and like they always say it's like bro science for like they just kind of have fun with it, and but they always do a different theory every week, and there's been some pretty wild ones on there that they talked about, like stuff about the Titanic and all those, obviously some of the really big ones, the popular ones that are and stuff, but it's just funny to see what different theories they throw out there and stuff. But,
yeah, I'm kind of like, I like to hear about them. I'm not going to get into trying to prove or disprove, but we had kind of have a joke that I'm probably like Dale Gribble from King of the Hill or something. But it's funny because a lot of that, like we were talking about the new band and stuff, I was like, well, let's get a little more weird with this stuff, so one of the songs on there is written about time travel, just kind of like things like that, and weird, I shouldn't say, interesting theories, like maybe there's parallel universes, or I was like, well, I haven't written about that before. Let's get into some like weird stuff like this, or I shouldn't say it's weird, but it's I always like to talk about that, or like different timelines, or like CERN, what are they up to, what kind of black hole did they open today,
Sure.
Or who dropped the baguette in CERN in 2014 or whatever.
I agree. One of my most favorite episodes I've ever done. I mean I'm not really into that world very much, but I had Brother Lee and the Leather Jackals on for episode 666.
Oh, cool.
and we got into some weird, darker stuff, and had some fun with it, talking about shadow people and some different darker things, and that was pretty appropriate for the episode. And but we had some really fascinating stories and stuff I don't really get in. Like I said, I don't talk about it often, but it was kind of cool to think about it and kind of talk about that world, and imagine as a writer, just kind of help come at it a different viewpoint, a different thought process, and hey, this is maybe some of the story we can tell or something like that. So
exactly, yeah. Or you can always take kind of a classic subject too, like the classic love song.
Right.
You're like, well, yeah, we've all been there, but what if like somebody gets sucked into a different dimension?
Yeah.
Or
Sure.
put a spin on it a little bit. You know, and it's been fun to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, Jenny, this has been awesome. It's been absolutely great to meet you and getting to talk and share some of these stories. Again, you can find everything Jenny Roques at jennyroques.com. You can find Desire Lines coming to Foam January 19th, February 9th, and Schlafly Tap Room February 16th. Everything else will be on Facebook and all the other stuff. So get involved, download some tunes, and come out to a show.
Yeah, and thanks so much. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is so yeah, thank you, Jenny. Thanks everybody for listening, and I'll see you all soon.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast.
Well, yeah, that was it.